All right, what's up, guys? This is my second video of me going through my second sketchbook. I just wanted to say thank you to you guys because the first video got a lot more views than I thought it would, because I honestly just put that video out because I really wanted to do something. I wanted to do some type of YouTube video showing you guys my process, show you guys what I used to draw like, show you my thought process and how I developed as an artist. So getting as many views as I did in the last video, it means a lot to me because I want you guys to look at my process and be inspired by it and resonate with it and know that this is what it takes to be an artist. And all the artists that you see only show their best art, or you're only paying attention to the best artists and their best work. You're thinking that every artist that you see is a genius, but you don't see the countless hours that they put into drawing and how much time they sacrificed in order to do what they love. And if every artist showed you, and I know there are artists that do that, how much they worked to get where they are, that it would be a lot more inspiring, and the art community would have this passion. So that's what I'm trying to get across in my YouTube. I want you guys to see that I might be a little bit ahead of you, or I might be where you are, but this is the process of being an artist. And I want you to be satisfied with your process, and I want you to see through my process, like, wow, you know, he's just another guy. He's just another guy practicing, and look at the way his art developed. Because in the future and now, I don't plan on stopping. I plan on getting as great as I want to be, as I aspire to be. And in order to do that, I need to make more and more sketchbooks, fill them up, and create a mental library of just everything that I wish to draw. So this sketchbook is directly after my first sketchbook, and it started Sunday, April 14th, 2024, and it was basically just pencil drawings and figure drawings. At this point, I was still doing pencil. Now I like pen because it's a lot more unforgiving and it feels a lot more smooth to me, because I used to like the texture of pencil, but it's not as comfortable as the pen for me. I went into this book, Figure Drawing, Design and Invention by Michael Hampton, and he gave me these exercises to do, and it was basically to draw circles and ovals and all these different types of things from my shoulder to burn it into my memory so that I become a better artist. So this is about 30 minutes of just big, medium, small, tiny circles, ovals, creating stuff, creating dynamic forms. What does, say, a squishy ball look like when you stick a stick to it? It like collapses a little bit, you know? Creating all these different types of forms. What happens when you squish this and this together? What does it look like? I used a skull in order to learn how to draw skulls. I turn it all different types of angles in order to, you know, understand what the head looks like, you know? I drew the skull, then I drew the face over it. And then I went into another book, George B. Bridgman's book, and I would copy all of his drawings from that book. But if you already know me now, and if you remember from the last video, if you watched the entire video, I know it was like 23 minutes long, but I'm not a big reference fan anymore. Even though I do this and I try to learn, I don't want to copy reference every second of the day, you know? I want to do my own stuff, try to apply it. And I said, what am I doing jumping into another book? I didn't master the first book. So I stood with the first book and tried to take as much as I can from it and do my own thing. So then, as I drew heads, I realized that I need to understand the planes of the face, because as I learned how to draw the head, I learned what I need to do in order to get better at it. So I went on Pinterest and I went through all this stuff, learned the muscles of the torso, the arm, all different types of stuff in order to get better at what I wanted to draw. So around this point, I said, you know what, I want to get better at anatomy. So I decided to do more anatomy and learn more. And I went into learning arm muscles, forearm muscles, the extensor carpi radialis, carpi ulnaris, flexor carpi ulnaris, all different types of arms, all different angles, continuous practice, drawing heads, trying to draw the hand. I saw all of these comic artists that I admired, and I saw my process and how much work I went through, and I said, they did that exact same thing. They went through exactly what I'm going through right now, and look at where they're at. So I want to be there. I want to be what, I want to do what they're doing. So I told you guys last video that legs were my weakness, so I went and I practiced legs. This is the way comic artists drew legs, so I practiced that, even though the proportions are still off. But I continued to draw and draw and draw to try to get better at what I'm doing. I drew gesture. So this is from Michael Hampton's book. I drew the gesture, then I constructed the form. So I used ovals, boxes for the torso and the pelvis, and then I drew the muscles on top of that. Did that over and over again. So you see it there again. There it is again. Then I went back into heads. I said, I need to brush up on heads a little bit. I would always go back and forth between anatomy and heads, because this is what I feel like is the main things that I need to do right now. What will make me satisfied. If I was to, be satisfied with one thing, it would be able to draw a person from my mind. I drew this, but the hair is from reference. Countless hours. I wasn't satisfied with the way my heads looked, so I continued to do that. So this is another moment where I was telling you guys that you're going to have a certain moment, maybe a certain page or a certain moment, whatever you do, that you can recognize that this is where I improved. This one right here, I drew from my mind, and I said, wow, this is a pivotal moment for me. I did this one after, wasn't really as satisfied, but then I looked back at this and I said, let me apply this to the rest of the drawings that I do. And it might not have applied right away, but I took that and applied it to everything that I was doing. I watched a David Finch video. It's probably David Finch's video, how to draw heads or something from any angle or something like that. But I drew heads. Here's a really nice one. What else? More and more heads. That one's pretty good. It has no hair, though. I want it to be a little loose. I was experimenting with different ways to draw the head, so. Then I went into perspective. I got into this book that was probably the most technical book that I ever read, and I wanted to understand 3D form, perspective, and whatnot. So I got this book, and it taught me 2-point, 3-point, 1-point perspective. Even though I'm not as good anymore, really, as it, or I'm not as good as I didn't go through the entire book. I stopped at one point because I don't want to draw the same thing all the time. So I just delved into it for a little bit. I think I was going through a free program online to master how straight I can make a line from my shoulder. Different exercises connecting 2 dots. You'll understand if you do these exercises yourself that it is a lot harder to connect 1 dot to the other. And you don't go slow, you just shoot it. You shoot it. It's easier to shoot the line rather than go really slow. Your line's going to be shaky. You just want to go bang, bang. And I would practice that. Then you would take that and then try to make all the lines intersect. So you know they're not intersecting here. They're getting close and close and close. This one's really bad, but this one's better. One line's off. This is 1 point perspective. Learning 2 point. Another exercise, make the dots, then try to, connect them. Ovals. You make the lines and then you try to keep the circle or the ovals in perspective within the lines. More 3D shape practice. I grabbed a Rubik's Cube, rotated it, tried to learn the form, trying to learn what it looks like in perspective. Horizon lines. Now this book, which is this book right here, How to Draw by Scott Robertson, was a book that taught me that you drew half of the shape and then pretended like there was a mirror, and it taught me techniques in order to reflect that shape in the mirror. Tons of boxes in perspective, different exercises in order to learn the forms. Faces, more faces. Here's another defining moment. Look at these 5 compared to this one, right? I said, this is the moment. I'm going to capitalize on this moment right here, where let me take this and apply it to all the other drawings in the future. So now you go from these to these. Big jump, big jump. Now all of a sudden my heads and my faces are a lot better now. This is what I mean. All the type of practice and all the different exercises that you do are going to culminate into one moment. You're not going to see a lot of improvement. You're not going to see it right away, but it's like melting ice. Ice doesn't melt until 32 degrees. So don't get mad when you're not seeing progress at 31 degrees. All you have to do is continue and continue and continue, and eventually you're going to hit the melting point, and it's all going to come into play, and everything is going to culminate into one moment. And that's what happened here. I was really proud of heads looking up, so I would draw these heads looking up, and I said, now I can draw it. This one, all stuff that I'm proud of, and now I can do this stuff like nothing. Profile views. Look at this one. This one's really nice. This one's good. I just fell in love with drawing heads now that I can draw them as good as I could. But then I said, you know what? Let me see what I can do with anatomy now. So I went back into anatomy, and my process for anatomy got better. So my motivation and discipline that came from drawing heads transitioned into drawing anatomy, because I said, you know what, now I can draw heads so good. Now I can draw anatomy a lot better. So my anatomy improved a lot. I went back into using pencil, and I didn't really like the texture that as much as I like pen. So I went off of it for a little bit, but look at this improvement from memory, reference and memory, all this. I stopped labeling reference and memory. I just dialed in. I don't even want to worry about it anymore, I started trying to draw with less complexity, so using less lines, even though it's not as little as lines that I use now. I was still getting what I could, what I had in my head onto the paper. I saw YouTubers drawing all these complex shapes. They're a lot better than me. So I was seeing them make these shape exercise and 3D form exercise videos and looking at the shapes that they're drawing, and I'm like, whoa, my brain is not on that level. I need to get my brain to create these weird shapes. because look at where they're at. If they're able to do that, I should be able to do that. Then I went back into my book, and this is Figure Drawing Design and Invention by Michael Hampton, and copying all of his figure drawings and then taking his technique and his style and applying it to my own, which it might not be as similar, but it's still there. Another defining moment. That one was really nice. You know, they're not all going to turn out amazing, but still there. What I really wanted to get across to you guys was the fact that, you know, now I'm using a lot less lines. I'm getting my intention across with less lines and then using defining lines. Even though now there's a lot less lines and whatnot, it's not applied in every single drawing. This one was really nice. But here you can see I'm a little wonky. You know, I'm a little too loose, and then I'm using defining lines, trying to recorrect myself. But that's the second sketchbook. Here I have the third one, which is only a few pages, but it started on January 21st, 2025, and I started doing a lot more figure drawings and using a lot less lines, using a different technique in order to create my figures, getting that intention down, going back and copying the poses and techniques of Michael Hampton. These are football players, basketball players, UFC fighters, and the movement is there. You know, I can see in my head what I want the space to look like. I can visualize this now. Everything's coming across like how I want it. And maybe I'll do a little drawing with you guys right now. I'll show you the progress. I used to take a lot more effort in order to draw a head. It was a lot more complex for me. But now it's just simple. You know, if I wanted to do a 3/4, I would draw the head, the ear, and I just go down. You know, go down, draw the chin. And I know that the top of the ear is connected to or lined up with the eyebrows. So I go like that. The bottom of the ear is lined up with the nose. And then not in the direct middle, but a little above is the mouth. So go like that. Draw the eyes. Now in perspective in 3/4, the eye is not the same shape as the other eye. And then I would just loosely bring in the hair. I just know where the stuff goes now. And I know in the future that I'm going to get better and better. The process took a long time, but I'm proud of where I am. And I want you guys to understand that this is a channel where I'm going to show you my process. You're going to see this and you're going to see, wow, look, maybe in 2 years' time, I'm amazing. Maybe in 2 years' time, I'm amazing. You can go back and look at my first video and understand that, you know, maybe you are where I was back then, or you are where I am right now. And you can see, you know, the artists that we all admire today are not geniuses, even though they're really good and they get to this point where they can absorb information a lot better and more information than we do now, but they're not geniuses. You know, they took hours and hours and hours and hours of time in order to cultivate their practice and get as good as they are. You know, we see just the best and we don't focus on all the hard work that they did to get where they are. And I want to show you guys that through my channel, that this is where I was and this is where I am. This is how much I worked, and this is how much it played a part in my drawings. So thank you guys for watching, And hopefully I come up with a lot more ideas, because this is all the ideas that I really had so far. But I want to make a lot more videos for you guys. So tune in and like and subscribe.